Afternoon, everyone. Yeah, I've returned. My last video said I was going to start doing some content, so I'm back. I'm actually out here in the garage. I figured I'd start doing a few of my videos in the shop. Watching some of the other guys do their thing. I've been a little busy, and you know how life is. So I decided I would come down here and then I've been thinking about this. Granted, you know, one of my videos I talked about some of the other content creators, and I am not one of those fellows, clearly. I figured I would still just try to have fun with this and not try to make it a big deal, and so it's not. Because, one, I got a lot more going on than some of them dudes, and two, I have a job. Now, granted, I could probably come down here every day and, you know, this behemoth over here has been sitting there for 15 years. I've worked on it on and off here and there. Me and somebody else talked about that. So I figured I would touch on that a little bit today as far as people who have projects that have some kind of sentimental attachment and also a sentimental kind of value to them. Now, if you're on my Instagram and you've seen this car in pictures when it was together, I wished I had got some videos of it when it was running, but last time it run, he was alive. It ain't ran. It ain't ran since then. But I'll give you a little history on it. All right. So the Firebird back here, which this is an oxymoron considering that I'm wearing a GT500 shirt and a GT500 hat, which means I'm a Mustang dude. Now, granted, this was not my car, and I'll get to that. And some of you will be in the same boat that I'm in. You've been there, and so you'll understand. All right. I inherited this car in 2006. So in 2006, the old man was leaving. I don't know if I've ever told you a story about this, but he was dying of cancer. And this is probably a story that is reciprocal out there. Oh, hey, your old man's still alive? No. What happened to him? Well, the cancer got him. You know what? The cancer's got a lot of them. The cancer got him. The cancer got my stepdad. Cancer got my stepbrother. In fact, 2 stepbrothers. Who else did he get? Any number of people that I know, it's gotten them. So we'll move on. It got him. So we'll back it up a little bit to early 2006, when he calls me on the phone and says, "Look." Now I never took it seriously, because one, he lived about 30 miles up the road from me in another town. I live here. So when he called me and said, you know, there might be a time where I get sick and, you know, you might have to come and, you know, do some things for me, I didn't take him seriously. I didn't. You know, I just, yeah, okay. You know, because I'm like most kids, you know, I think my dad's invincible. You know, I'm a kid, he's tough, he's you know, he's this, he's that. So, you know, I figured he was, you know, like Superman. He was, you know, my dad was hard, he was tough as nails, he was in the military, you know. He was one of them guys. So Fast forward to later on in the year, he calls me and says, hey, I need you to come over and give me a hand. Okay. You need to take me to the doctor. And as I got there, I didn't think about it, but the last time me and him rode in a car was, I had this 88 GT. It's actually in the backyard. Parts car now. And this was when we had car shows at the mall. Where I live, we had car shows that used to be at the mall, on the backside of the mall. So he, I told him, I'm gonna come and get you and take you to this car show, because that's what we did sometimes. I would go down there. He'd say, hey, they got this show down here at the river park, and I'd go over to his house and hop in the truck with him, and then we'd ride over there and walk around, look at cars, and talk about them. He was a 100% car guy, 100%. Eat, sleep, and breathe cars, racing, drag racing, and God. Okay? I'm pretty much the same way. I've tried not to focus so much on the car thing and get my life together and focus on God. And this just be something I do while I'm focusing on God. I work on my car and talk to God, that kind of thing. But let's fast forward. So, last show we went to, I went and got him, took him to that car show. And of course, my dad was a Chevy guy. Now this thing back here, he was initially a Chevy guy until he ran up on that. Now, I guess if it had been a Camaro, which first gen Firebird, first gen Camaro, their F bodies are about the same. One's got a Pontiac engine in it, one's got a Chevy engine in it. Now, granted, he was a Chevy guy, so this car had two Chevy engines in it. First Chevy engine was a 396 big block. I do not know where the big block came from. I know it had a big block in it. Now, to the show. Went to the show. I went and picked him up in my 88 5.0 5-speed. Apparently he had never rode in. Chevy guy, it's 88, yeah, 88. I got it, he got it, and of course he knocked it. This thing's a rat trap, this thing. And it ran good. I mean, I worked on it. I changed the plugs, did some suspension work on it. It was solid, had brand new tires on it. It ran like a top. It was fast. For what it was 88. 88 wasn't all that. And somebody had never changed the oil in it. They beat on it. And I basically just drove it over. I drove it to work. Kind of like my green car. I drive it to work. I didn't really do anything to it. So, that was the last show I think we went to. We might have been to another show, but him riding in my car, that was the last show me and him went to in my car. Fast forward to him getting to where he can't hardly drive. So he had a green S10. He didn't want to, I couldn't cart him around in my car because he couldn't get in it. So I went and picked up the green S10 and I drove that around and I picked him up and took him to the doctor in it. I physically had to pick him up and put him in the truck. He got to where he probably weighed 75 pounds. When he died, he probably didn't weigh 75 pounds. He might have weighed 60, 70 pounds, maybe. Soaking wet, maybe. From a person that weighed 195 pounds, 200 pounds. So I slowly watched him decline. I literally was with him almost every day until he left. I was with him when he left. I was holding his hand when he died. I was right there. Watched him take his last breath. So you don't really forget that kind of stuff. So being that anything I've ever known that was associated with this thing was him. That was his car. I mean, I got my car. In fact, I have multiple cars out there. I got, you've seen them, the Vanilla Ice, Big Sister. Now I got Frank Bullet out there. I got this thing. I let my son have the machine. I'm pretty sure I'll still be working on it here and All I've ever worked on was Mustangs. Now, I've had Chevrolet products. Never went well. Just didn't go well. Me and Chevys don't get along. So, aside from that, I guess I'm maybe 2-3 weeks before he died. He got pretty bad there. But granted, his birthday was in September, so he was in the VA hospital for his birthday. He didn't like that. But he started getting bad, and he didn't get real bad till October, which he died in October. And his birthday was in September. So he made it past his birthday. He's 58 years old. I'll be 53 years old, so you know how that makes somebody feel. They kind of feel, I need to be watching out for something, that kind of thing. Aside from that, he made it to 58, made his birthday, in the VA hospital, hated it, went to Nashville to visit him. Got out of Nashville, they let him go home because there wasn't nothing they could do for him. He came back home, and he had 3 houses. I'm gonna tell you about people. I'm gonna tell you how horrible people are. All right. He worked his whole life to try to build his little nest egg. He had bought a few homes and tried to invest some money in, that kind of thing. So at his house, he had 68 Firebird parts car. He had a 71 Chevelle 402 big block. Had some work done to it. Black. Bought it from the guy used to work on his car. He bought that car. He had a 65 Chevelle 2-door hardtop, 2-door post. What else was over there? Some little rinky-dink car he bought. Some little Toyota car he had parked on the side of the house. While that man was in the hospital dying, somebody went over there and stole all those cars. Yeah. Somebody went over. Every time I went over there was a car missing. Now, the one that I would have wanted, and it ran. The 71 Chevelle was a running car. Somebody stole it. Somebody stole it out the yard. I called the police. You know what they tell me? Ain't nothing we can do about it. Are you the owner of the car? I said, my dad is the owner of the car, and he's in the hospital, dying of cancer. Don't you want to take a report or anything? No, you're not the owner. Besides, that car's probably on the mountain somewhere. You'll never find it. Thanks a lot, buddy. Appreciate you. If I had it my way, I would have went looking for that car on my own. I'd have found it, and found whoever took it. I'd be digging a hole for him. That's another story, though. Either way, all the cars got stolen. Went back over there, the Firebird that was sitting outside the house, it ended up gone. Now, granted, it was a parts car. It was in real rough shape, but they took that too. These people had the gall to break into that dude's house. And under the bottom of the house, the 396 that was in this car, he took it out. Now, when I had that 71 Nova, he was going to give me that big block, and I was going to put it in the Nova. They stole my big block. I decided at that point, you know what? I don't want to mess with no Chevys no more. I'm done with it. No big deal. They stole everything that was Chevrolet. This leads me to believe that whoever broke in the house had been there before, and they didn't touch nothing else. He had shelves, like on the wall. Had brand new parts on the wall. Had brand new carburetors over there, brand new valve covers, all kinds of stuff that they didn't touch. They knew what was on the floor. There was 327 blocks on the floor. He probably had a couple more other big blocks laying around in there, or just a block, maybe crank. They took all of that. They didn't touch nothing else. There was 3 transmissions in there. They didn't touch none of them. There was a 327 crank over there. They missed that. 455 stuff over there. Didn't touch the Pontiac stuff. They didn't touch it. Which leads me to believe it's one of his good buddies. Can't prove which one. Don't know. It doesn't matter now. That's 20 years ago. It's 2026. That That was 2006. I hope whoever did it is dead now. Didn't get no enjoyment out of none of that you stole. That's another story, though. Fast forward. He can still talk. He can barely walk. He says, he gets out of the hospital, take him back to his house. He says, I need to show you where the Pontiac is. I said, oh. They didn't get this one, because if it had been over there, they would have stole that one too. I'd have really been upset, and I probably would have went looking for it. This car was at a shop in Hickson. One of his buddies was building the motor for it. The motor for the car is back there. I don't think I've ever showed anybody the motor, but he had planned before he got sick to go back all Pontiac. Nothing wrong with that. It's junky in here. So he said, I'm gonna take you over to the shop where the car is. And the car was sitting out in the field. He had a big old garage, and he had cars out in the field, and it was parked out there in the field. Apparently, now this car had Fenton mags on it all the way around. So it had 10s on the back and 4s on the front. I still got the 4s. 10s came up missing. But it's got some 10-inch Steelers on the back. No biggie. I don't know what happened to the ones that was on the front. There used to be, when I was a kid, he had a set of Steelers that went all the way around. It was like 6s or 7s on the front, 10s on the rear. I got the 10s. Have no idea what the rest of them were. Anyway, took me to his shop and said, this is where the car is. I said, okay. So, walk in there, which, did he walk? I think I had a wheelchair for him. We drove over there in the S10. Pulled the wheelchair out, picked him up, put him in the wheelchair, wheeled him into the shop. The shop owner's name was Rick Phillips. I don't know if he's still alive or not. That was 2006. He's probably retired from engine building. I know I went over there 5-6 years later where the shop was, and it wasn't there. So he probably retired. He'd been building engines and working on people's cars for 20 years. So anyway, this was probably his last hoorah right here. Big 455. Now, the thing with this 455 is, I have no idea what's in it. I know it's got Butler internals. I don't know if it's got a Butler crank in it. I don't know anything. I know he went to Leoma, Tennessee, where Butler Performance is, which is Pontiac aficionados. He went to Leoma, Tennessee, and bought some stuff from them boys. What he bought, I have no idea. But I'm assuming it's in this engine because I don't have any other engines from it. So he, Rick Phillips put this engine together for him. And he said, you want to hear it? I said, yeah, I want to hear it. I want to see what I'm getting. I'll say this. Now, granted, I'm a Ford guy. I like all kinds of cars. I just happen to be a Mustang guy. I like Mustangs. I've always liked them. And then once I got one, I just have seemed to have ended up with one here and there, and that's how I've acquired what I've got. But that Pontiac engine, when he cranked it up, it put a smile on my face. It put a smile on his face. This is a dying man, and it put a smile on his face. He looked at me with this, I don't use profanity, but, he had a eating grin, if you know what I mean. He had one of them grins like, yeah, I got some. I got you. Yeah, you have no idea what this is. So it ran. It was nasty. Trust me, it's nasty. Shut it off. Took him back home. He got to where he couldn't swallow. He ended up back in the hospital, and he died there. He got to where he couldn't talk. Fast forward after that, I went and got the car, brought the car home, went and got the motor, brought the motor home. I haven't really touched it. And granted, it sat in the backyard for 2 or 3 years. And I didn't have nothing in here. I would just pull stuff in here and work on it. But I can't pull anything in here now because this thing it took up residence in here. And so I'm going to have to figure out something. I mean, I did manage to cut the floor out of it, and I got a floor mocked up in it, so I have made some kind of progress. But for 15 years, I never touched it. So I don't know if it was a mental thing. This is the old man's car. And I still kind of look at it that way, although the old man ain't here no more and the car belongs to me. I was trying to explain this to somebody else. You know, when somebody you love, your dad, your uncle, your mom, somebody passes away and they leave you something, and that thing has a lot of memories in it. That car's got a lot of memories in it. I remember the day he found that car. I remember going and getting that car out of a field. It was a chicken coop. A farmer had it. I don't know how much he paid for it because I was like 4 or 5. But that's a memory seared into my brain. Now, most people, 53 years old, probably don't remember anything when they're 3 or 4. But I've never forgotten it. Never. I remember his best friend hooked a tow chain to it. And we pulled it, and that was when you could do that. You could get away with that. He hooked the tow rope chain to it, and we towed it to one of the church members' houses. And it was in his backyard, and he had one of those big motor, it looked like a swing set, but it had a big old chain hanging off of it. Back then, you know, you had guys that did the backyard thing, and I remember seeing it in the backyard with that chain hoist, with him chain hoisting that straight 6 Sprint motor out of it. And then, don't know what happened to it after that. Next time I saw it, he had finally did something to it. I guess this is an autobiography of this car, but ended up at Chattanooga State taking auto mechanics and welding. He put it together. He put that car together himself with his own 2 hands. And so any number of years afterwards, I was a kid, he had it running, he drove it to work. He drove that car to work for 20 years, at least 15 at least. Every day. Big block, sounded nasty. He drove it to work. And you could do that in the 70s and 80s. You could drive around in that kind of car. Drive it to work. Gas was, when I was a kid, it was 99 cents. It was 69, 79, 89, 99, $1. You know, it kept going up. The older I've gotten, gases went up. But initially, when I was a kid, you could drive a big block car to work. Yeah, you put gas in it going, you put gas in it coming. And he would tell you that. I put gas in it to go to work. I put gas in it to come back home. And he worked on Lookout Mountain. From where we lived in Summit, in Ooltewah. If you're down from Tennessee, then you don't know what that is, but we lived in Ooltewah. He drove from Ooltewah to Lookout Mountain, which was probably at least, I mean, that was at the bottom of Lookout Mountain, which you pretty much, you Lookout Mountain, that's from where we were, you basically in another town. Either way, he drove that car. So, it's got a lot of history in it. It's got a lot of memories in it. Me and him went to the drag strip in it. He never drag raced. We just go watch. But I remember getting in it. And it has a certain smell to it. That car does. It still smells that way. Even with no seats in it. I mean, the headliner's falling. It's I don't know if it's got some essence in it or what. All I know is that I just kind of revered it and I couldn't touch it. I couldn't touch it. I come down here and once I pulled it out of the backyard because people kept driving by talking about, hey, you want to sell that car? No, there's no signs on that car for sale. And I don't know why people do that. If it's sitting in the backyard, ain't no for sale signs on it? No, it's not for sale. You see a sign on it, then it's for sale. Nothing in my house is for sale, so don't even bother. Aside from that, I got tired of people eyeballing it. So I pulled it in here and I parked it. And it sat here another 10 years. I finally decided, you know what? I'm going to go down here and I'm going to pull the motor out of it. So I did. One day I just came out here and I started working on it. I pulled the motor out of it, put the motor on the stand, pushed it into the den, put a plastic bag over it. 383 stroker. And I heard that engine run and it was nasty. Granted, it'd been sitting in the car for 15 years and it was probably ain't never been started. Once he parked it over there, he threw that motor together with parts he had in the you know, dudes did that back then. They would take a car or they would go buy parts and just stick them in the closet. My old man had pistons and cams and all kinds of stuff. He would stick it in the closet, and my mom would say, he go buy something and just stick it in the closet. He wasn't a hoarder. He just had plans. See, I did the same thing. When I built the motor in Vanilla Ice, I started buying stuff for it, and I'd sit it on the shelf. I bought some heads here, bought a cam, and a block, and bought an engine kit, and just, I bought stuff because I had a plan. So that plan culminated into what's out there in the driveway. But we ain't talking about me, we talking about him. So he drove that car. We rode to the drag strip in that car, branded Optimus. It's still there. I go down there every once in a while and it feels nostalgic to me because that's where me and him went. I don't know about you and your dad or your uncle or your brother or whoever, but me, that was a big thing. That was me and him's thing. You know, I don't know if my mom and my sister had gone, but me and him had this right here. And then I got it. He didn't give it to me, although he wanted to give it to me when I was 16. My mama wouldn't let him give it to me. I would gladly took it. I probably wouldn't be here now if he gave it to me because it still had the big plug in it. She wouldn't let him give it to me, so. And see, at that point, if he'd have gave it to me, see, I was taking auto mechanics. I would have done the same thing that he was doing. I would have did it my own way, took it back apart, fixed everything that was wrong with it, then I'd have been driving it. And I might have been driving it 20 years. That didn't happen, she didn't let me have it. So fast forward to him dying, took me over there, showed me the car, the motor, I got the car. 15 years later, I decided to pull the motor out of it. That motor now resides in a 1957 Chevrolet. It's called the Chicken Coop. Yeah, I give it to a guy I know. He was running a 57 Chevrolet with a 4-speed in it. He blew the motor up in his. I gifted it to him. Yeah. I said, hey man, you need an engine? He said, yeah, I got one for you. I said, I don't know what's in it. It's probably old school technologies, camel hump heads. It's probably got a big flat type of cam in it, that kind of thing. It's 30 over, 400 crank in it. You know the drill, 383 stroker. He's like, yeah. He was forever grateful, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I hadn't seen him or heard anything out of him lately. I don't know. His brother died, so that situation probably turned into this situation. He just ain't touched it since. But I gifted him the engine out of this car. Chevrolet engine that didn't belong in it. Pontiac engine back there. So I said, well, I finally took the motor out of it and I finally started taking it apart. Drunk driver hit the front end. He took it to some guy. And you know, we ain't even gonna go there. It wasn't what it needed to be. So I dismantled the whole front end. I know a guy, a couple roads over, Camaro guy, had a whole new subframe front end, '69 Camaro, front disc brakes on it. Bought that front end from him. This rear end sitting back here is a '68 Camaro V8 car, rear end, springs and all. Bought that from him. And this car originally wasn't a V8 car, it was a straight six car. So if you know anything about, see, I had to do some research on this car because, you know, what do I know about Pontiacs? This first gen, 67. I know nothing, so I did some research. I just assumed they all had the same suspension under them. They don't. A V8 car and a sprint car, completely different. Sprint car only got one spring on the rear. Why? Because it doesn't have a V8 in it. It doesn't have to be heavy. In fact, that's what I didn't realize until I took it apart is that Pop had been driving this car all these years with a sprint rear end under it. Big block behind it. You could do that. You can't do that now. You can't do none of that now with anything. You ain't gonna take no LS motor and put it behind a V6 rear end and it live? No. But you could do that with that old stuff. That stuff was bulletproof. 20, 30 years of him driving it and beating on it, it finally started whining. It's ready to come out. I took it out. I got a V8 rear for this one. Fast forward, I made progress on it, but the point is not the car itself. The idea is that, have any of you been in that position where it's so sentimental, you almost can't touch it? It's you know, I'll never sell that car. I couldn't even fathom the idea of selling it. Sell it to who? I seen somebody else driving my car lose my mind. I always wanted that car when I was a kid. And then when I got it, I don't think it was if he had gave it to me, it'd have been different because he'd been alive and he said, here, I'm gonna let you have the car. Let me give it to you and give me a couple bucks for it and I'll sign it over to you. That'd have been a little different than him dying and giving it to me because that's not how I wanted to get it. And I don't think any kid wants to inherit something like that as opposed to the black car, the machine. I drove that car for 20 years. I sold it to my son. I didn't give it to him, but I sold it to him. But I sold it to him for less than what I got in it, just because I was like, look, you need a car? I'll sell it to you. Granted, it's developed some problems, and I don't really know why, but we'll work them out, get the car back on the road. But I drove it for the longest, just putting in more oil and gas in it. Put a motor in it. That'd be another story. That when I inherited this car, I bought a car. I bought another Mustang. And I built it. In fact, the same dude that built the motor in his car helped me build the motor for my car. I went over there and me and him put the motor together. I ain't never built no modular motor, but that's another story. So, but have you been in that position where it's so sentimental you just couldn't touch it? I mean, I come down here and look at it. You know what? One day, girl, you'll be back on the road. I'll get to you. And then I got 2 projects out in the driveway I've been working on. And I'm like, I said, well, I'm gonna get my stuff done before I start messing with his car, but it's not his car. It's my car. But I don't, it's hard for me to understand it. It's just, you know, I sit around thinking about it. Well, you know what? They ain't gonna see him driving this car, they're gonna see me driving this car. Because it's mine. Even if I put a motor in it, get it running, and I leave it the same color it is. Oh, faded and everything, which that's a thing now. Driving around in a car that's patinaed. Trust me, it's patinaed. Yeah. So, I know some of you have been there. You've been where I'm at. You come down here, you look at it, and you go, well, what are we gonna do now? And then the money factor. First gen Firebird parts, first gen Firebird parts compared to first gen Mustang parts. No comparison, price wise. Fender for this car, $275, $500 or more. You get brand new OEM or never used on the shelf, it's $1,000 for a Fender. Same thing with the hood, trunk lid. Luckily the doors and everything is still in good shape, so no contest there. But the idea was, who knew he was gonna die? I never expected it. It was tough. My old man. Yeah, I got this relic sitting in my drive, in my garage, and that was like a mental block. You know, that's my father's car. I didn't have the heart to touch it. But it ain't gonna get done. I mean, I've had people jokingly say, yeah, bring it to me, I'll fix it and drive it. I can't let anybody put their hands on my car. You know, the car, he had a car, and he allowed somebody to put their hands on it, and they stole it. 44 coupe. I got a picture of it. The only picture I got of it. Actually, I think I got 3 pictures of it. Front, side, and the rear. But took it to a body shop, have it painted, never got it back. That's why he started doing his own body work. I do my own body work. I went to school to learn how to do my own body work. I picked up building engines and that kind of stuff on my own. I'm mechanically inclined, so I just decided, you know, I really just built my own. I don't want to take it to nobody. As far as machine work, I ain't got a choice on that. But as far as bringing it back home and putting it back together and putting it in the car, I'm fairly good at that. I've done it so many times, I could probably do it in my sleep. Aside from that, I'm trying to get past this whatever I got going, so I can put my hands on this thing, so I can start getting somewhere. If you know where I've been, you know what I mean. I'm telling you this story for a reason. I know there's other people out there who have had this same thing. You inherited something, and it's got so much memory behind it, and you can almost get emotional over it. I mean, I'm not gonna get emotional talking about it, but I told you a story. My childhood is in that car. Rode in it every day. He picked me up from school in it. He took me to school in it. Your dad's got a cool car. He do, don't he? Yeah, you know, it's bad, ain't it? You're like, yeah, man, it sounds good. Yeah, it did. It just did. But, as we all know, it ain't gonna fix itself. So, hopefully, it's 2026. I mean, I got other stuff going out there. I got this thing over here. And let's not get it twisted. This ain't about work ethic, okay? This is a lot of money over here, too. I mean, even me knowing how to do almost everything that's over there, it's the money aspect, okay? I'm not a rich guy. I go to work every day just like anybody else. Even if I was a rich guy, if I was a rich guy, that car would be done. Because I just take time and get it done. I'd be working on it every day till it was done. Just like most of these guys that can build a car in 6 months. I would have had it done by then. I already got the motor. Transmission's sitting right over here. Rear end's there. Front end is over there. Only thing I really need is a trunk lid, front fenders, the hood, and the grill, and all that garbage to go along with it, and maybe a wiring harness. I probably want to get some new seats because they look pretty bad. Yeah. But the back seat was okay. Probably just get them recovered, put them back in the car because I'm kind of sentimental when it comes to the car. I like the feel of it. You know, I probably would never paint it. I just make sure none of it was rusting. Just put it back the way it was. Put the wheels he had back on it. Put the engine in it. Drive it the way it is. That's just the way I feel it belongs. No flashy paint jobs. And you know what? I thought about it. I said, you know what? I could probably do a pro touring or something like that. That does not fit that car. It just don't. It had big and littles on it. Big and littles going back on it. Big engine, big and littles, had cutoffs under it. Think he had some Flowmasters on it, some hookers or something. I know it had hooker headers on it. You know, it's got custom made headers on that engine, so you've been there. I know you know what I'm talking about. This is me just venting to you because this is the platform for that. All you guys out there, I know you've seen this. You've been through this. Some of you haven't. Some of you, I don't know if your dad ever left you a car or you had someone die and leave you something. And maybe it's not a car. Maybe it was a motorcycle. Maybe it was a house. I don't know, maybe it was a boat. They left you something that memories were made in it. You have memories in it. You're sentimental about it. You could almost tear up or break down crying if nobody was around. Granted, I ain't never broke down crying, but I was pretty sad when I pulled it in and just looked at it. I don't sit down here looking at it too long because I'd rather he was here than, because me and him were supposed to put this back together. It never happened. And then I get it. You know, some people say, well, you know, you need therapy. Here it is. Here's my therapy. My therapy involves this. These. Ratchets. Wrenches. That's where your therapy is if you're a man. In this garage. Getting rid of something. Building something. Trying to keep your dad's memory alive. Granted, I ain't never gonna forget him. I got his car. I can't. Anytime I walk down here, I can smell it because the doors are off of it. Now, I probably got a little long-winded on this, but to tell you this story, I had to. So you could understand. It ain't all glitz and glamour and you know, there ain't no fun in it sometimes. Sometimes it can be discouraging. But on a truthful basis, to come out here and bust your knuckles up, crawl around on the ground, bench pressing transmissions, and welding and burning your eyes, and it's all worth it in the end. When you get Pop's car running, you get Pop's car back on the road. See that? I don't know. I think maybe there's a little bit of fear involved. That once I get it running, I won't want to get in it. It just, especially if it looks exactly, and you know, the same wheels. I got them. They're over there. The same wheels go on it. It's pretty much the same color it was. If it looks that way and then you crank it up and it sounds the same, it's gonna be, you know. Well, I probably talked long enough on this one. Just know 2026, I'm trying to do a little bit different. I'm gonna try to make it to Ponies and Smokies. Try. Take Frank Bullet and go up there and see what that's all about. I watched the videos and they look like they're having a good time. And I call myself a Mustang enthusiast. What kind of enthusiast?